One day, a normal field in Britain. At daybreak of the next, an elaborate pattern stamped into the earth. But how did such impressive and mysterious markings get there? A hoax? An elaborate religious ritual? Or perhaps a sign from the heavens? Join us today as we uncover the mysteries of crop circles, confounding conundrums in the corn. First, some history. While modern accounts of geometrically correct simple circles and more complex patterns do not seem to appear in the historical record until the late 1960s, there exist many separate accounts of similar phenomena throughout history. Strange circles and mushrooms, known as fairy rings, have been documented in European folklore as far back as medieval times. In the Western Hemisphere, the Nazca lines of southern Peru feature massive etchings and markings in the sand that depict various shapes and beings. These carvings are so grand in scale that they are often only fully visible to aircraft flying overhead, and both their purpose and the methods by which they were constructed are still a matter of debate for archaeologists to this day. Strange depressions in crop fields have been documented as far back as 1880, when the admittedly foppish-looking British scientist Robert Plot described circular depressions left in local crop fields that had seen recent storm activity. In the 1960s, many rural residents of Australia and Canada reported encounters with UFOs, which often left behind strange circular depressions in fields and tall grass. Military and civil authorities in those countries attributed both the sightings and the crop depressions left behind to natural activities such as the weather, and the incidents faded into memory for most. This changed in the late 1970s, when the British media began to report on strange formations being carved seemingly overnight into the fields of English farmers. These circles, formed by bending the stalks of corn or other stalked crops, range from simple circular patterns to elaborate combinations of shapes. Some were quite massive, sometimes reaching over a kilometer in width. Their mysterious formation and apparent complexity drove many to speculate, sometimes wildly, on their origins. Surely such incredible structures could not be the result of natural forces or even mere human effort. Could the explanation lie in the realm of the supernatural or the paranormal? Meanwhile, dozens began to appear around southern England, increasing in frequency and distribution into the 1980s. Finally, in 1991, new light was shed on the phenomenon. In 1991, Englishmen Doug Bower and Dave Churley came forward and admitted to the British press that it was indeed they who had started the crop circle phenomenon in Britain in the late 70s. They claimed responsibility for the lion's share of the crop circles that had been found in Britain, but by that time the phenomenon had spread to the rest of Europe, with hundreds of formations distributed around the continent. The two men demonstrated the relatively simple method of constructing the circles, a method which often involved such high-tech tools as wooden planks and spare rope. Still, many remained skeptical, pointing to the often impressive size and complexity of many of the formations as proof that mere hoaxers could not have produced them. Still, after Bower and Chorley's admission, the popularity and frequency of the crop circle phenomenon exploded. Crop circles continue to be produced today, with over 10,000 being reported in 29 different countries. Hundreds continue to appear every year, and the shapes continue to grow in complexity, often displaying complex mathematical structures such as fractal patterns. Crop circles have also become an avenue for commerce, with many private companies and organizations using them as a means to advertise their products and services. Notably, during the 2012 Olympic Games in London, several crop circles in the shape of the Olympic ring logo were formed near London, including a particularly sizable one on an approach path into Heathrow Airport that could be seen by athletes coming in and out of the city for the Games. Naturally, these sorts of circles have a perfectly mundane origin at the hands of the human artists and their commercial clients who create them and sponsor them, but many still speculate in the nature and origin of those circles which are not demonstrably the product of human hands. The potential explanations of the formation of crop circles range, as previously mentioned, from the mundane to the fantastic. Many believers in UFOs and extraterrestrial activity on planet Earth argue that the scale and complexity of many of the patterns, as well as their ability to rapidly appear in the course of a single night, demonstrates an intelligent but ultimately non-human origin to many of the circles. Others contend that the crop circles are a way for Gaia, the spirit of the Earth, to communicate with humans regarding important environmental crises like overpopulation or climate change. More scientific explanations have attempted to attribute the similar patterns, such as single circles, to anomalous weather conditions or physical phenomena like ball lightning or plasma vortices, but such hypotheses generally lack evidence. The most compelling explanation seems to be that crop circles are simply the product of human artists. The technology originally used by Bower and Chorley in the late 70s was very simple in nature, but still allowed them to create shapes of impressive complexity and accuracy. Modern artists, both commercial and underground, augment these methods with laser surveying equipment and GPS navigation systems, allowing for ultra-precise measurements that can be used to create very intricate shapes. The speed, scale, and complexity of the circles, while certainly impressive, are not outside the purview of normal humans, augmented by the inexpensive off-shelf technology that's often used in these pursuits. This, combined with the fact that the first widely reported circles were exposed to be hoaxes, seems to suggest an ultimately mundane explanation for the vast majority of cases. While such a mundane conclusion is not the most romantic one possible, crop circles still stand as a testament to the ability of human beings to create beautiful and somewhat mischievous works of art on a grand scale. Much like those who doubt that the Egyptians built the Grand Pyramids of Giza, many believers in paranormal explanations for these crop formations underestimate the artistic talent and ingenuity of ordinary humans armed with mere wooden scrap and motivated by an excess of free time. Well, that about wraps it up. I'm Travis Sampiero, and thanks for stopping by.